Welcome back to the channel Mythology Matters, where ancient narratives unfold to reveal the profound connection between history, mythology, and theology. Today, we dive into the mysterious figures of Baal, a powerful deity from ancient Near Eastern mythology, often associated with storms, fertility, and kingship. But who was Baal really? And why does his name still echo through history, religion, and popular culture? In this video, we will explore his origin, the civilization and worshipped him, the controversies surrounding his legacy, and how his image evolved over time. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind one of history's most misunderstood and fascinating gods. Don't forget to like, comment, and to subscribe. Let us dive in chapter 1, or in number 1. The rise of the storm god. Before the great religion of the world began to define heaven and hell in strict moral terms, and the ancient Near East lived under sky ruled by unpredictable power. Thunder was not just weather, it was a voice. Lightning was not just energy, it was a judgment. And rain was not simply nature, it was a life itself. In this fragile balance between drought and fertility, one divine figures rose above the rest: Baal, the storm god. Baal was not a single fixed deity in origin, but a title meaning Lord or Master. Over time, however, this title became most strongly associated with Baal-handed, the storm god worshipped across Canaan, Ugarit, Phoenicia, and surrounding the region. He was the bringer of the rain, the lower in the sky, and the unseen force that determined whether fields would flourish or collapse into dust. In a world where agriculture meant survival, Baal was not optional, it was essential. To understand Baal's rise, one must understand the environment that shaped his mythology. The ancient Levant was a land of extremes. Rain did not follow constantly. Instead, season of abundance could suddenly turn into season of starvation. The people who lived there depended entirely on the mercy of the sky. In such a world, divine imagination naturally formed around weather patterns. Gods were not abstract philosophers, they were forces of a nature made conscious. Baal emerged as a personification of controlled storm power. Unlike a chaotic destruction, Baal's storms were believed to be purposeful. It was not simply thunder, it was organized thunder. Not just a rain, but rain with intention. This distinction was crucial. Ancient societies did not fear rain itself, they feared imbalance. Too little rain meant death. To mean destruction, Baal represented the ideal center between these extremes. The perfect storm that gives life without annihilating it. However, Baal did not rule alone. In the older Canaanite pantheon, he existed within a dive hierarchy led by El. The egged father who represented authority and the cosmic order, El was distant and often passive, embodying stability rather than action. Beneath Er's rule were many divine beings, including Yam, the sea god, and Mot, the god of death. Baal's story begins not as a ruler, but as a challenger, a rising force seeking recognition among established powers. The earliest mythic cycles from Ugaritic text describe Baal as a warrior god. His rise is marked not by inheritance, but by struggle. Unlike older gods who maintain order through distance, Baal asserts himself through action. He is dynamic, aggressive, and determined to shape the world rather than merely observe it. This makes him both dangerous and necessary. In mythic terms, he is not the force that refuses stagnation. His first great conflict is with Yam, the sea. Yam is not simply water, but chaos itself, the uncontrollable, formless power and existed before creation. In ancient symbolism, the sea often represented disorder because it could not be cultivated or contained. Storms, however, offered a paradox. They were violent like the sea, yet structured like an event with beginning and end. Baal, as storm god, stands uniquely, suited to confront Yam. According to myth, Baal is armed with divine weapons forged for cosmic battle. These weapons are not just tools. They are symbols of authority granted by higher powers. In confronting Yam, Baal is not only fighting chaos, he is proving his right to rule. The battle is fierce, but Baal ultimately traps. Yam is subdued and orders is asserted over the chaotic waters. This victory is more than a mythological entertainment. It represents a fundamental worldview. Chaos can be controlled, but not erased. The sea still exists, storms still rage, but they are now placed within a divine framework. Baal does not eliminate chaos, he organizes it. This idea would echo across many later mythologies, where storms god often became symbols of kingship and authority. After defeating Yam, Baal seeks recognition. He demands a palace, a divine home worthy of king. This request is deeply symbolic. In ancient cultures, a god temple was not merely a place of worship. It was a physical manifestation of divine authority on earth. To build a temple was to establish order into the human world. For Baal, the request for a palace is a declaration. His power must be made permanent. However, this request is not immediately granted. Even after his victory, Baal must negotiate his position among the gods. This reflects an important theme in ancient religion. Divinity is not absolute, but relational. Gods don't exist in isolation. They exist within a system of balance, negotiation, and hierarchy. Baal's rise is therefore not instantaneous ascension, but gradual recognition. When Baal finally receives his praise, it marks the peak of his ascent from this divine dwelling. He commands storms, send rain across the land, and sustain fertility. His presence is felt in every thunderclap and every rainfall. To the people who worship him, Baal is no longer a rising challenger, he is a king. Yet, even at this height, his story remains unstable. Baal's power is never permanent in his absolute sense. It depends on cycles, seasons, and ongoing balance. The same storms that bring life can also bring destruction. The same God who gives rain can also withdraw it. In this way, Baal embodies the fragile nature of existence itself. His rise, therefore, is not just the story of God gaining power. It is a reflection of human attempts to understand a world that is both nurturing and dangerous. Baal is the answer to the question ancient societies asked every day: who controls the sky, and why does it give life one moment and take it away the next? In Baal, they found both explanation and mystery. Welcome to the chapter 2. Number 2 says the battle with death. If Baal's rise represents the essence of order from chaos, then his confrontation with Mot, the god of death, represents the ultimate limit of that order. In the ancient mythological imagination of the Levant, even the greatest gods were not beyond the reach of cosmic forces. There was no eternal expansion from decay, no permanent victory over mortality. Instead, existence itself was understood as a cycle governed by a competing power that none could fully control. Among this power, Mot stood as one of the most terrifying, silent, absolute, and unavoidable. Mot was not a god of destruction in the dramatic sense. He was not thunder, no fire, no war. He was emptiness. He was drought, sterility, famine, and the slow erosion of life. Where Baal represented the lowering sky and the life-giving storm, Mot represented stillness, the absence of movement, the absence of growth, the absence of return. In mythological symbolism, Mot is not merely death as an event, but death as a condition. The story begins when Mot sends someone to Baal. On the surface, it appears formal, even respectful. Mot invites Baal to descend into his domain, the underworld. Yet beneath the surface, the meaning is clear. This is not an invitation, it is ultimatum. It is ancient mystic logic. To enter the realm of death is to surrender to it. No storm god, no matter how powerful, can bring rain from beneath the earth. Baal, despite his authority over storms and fertility, cannot refuse. To reject Mot would be to deny the structure of reality itself. This moment reveals one of the most profound truths embedded in the myth. Even divine power is bound by cosmic law. Baal may rule the skies, but he does not rule existence itself. Death is not an enemy to be defeated in open battle. It is a domain to which all life must eventually submit. And so, Baal descendants. With his descent, the world above began to change, the rain stopped, the field dried out, rivers shrink into cracked earth, crop fail before they can mature, livestock weakened, and human survival became uncertain. In mythic term, the absence of Baal is the absence of life-giving rain. His disappearance is not just symbolic, it is environmental. The land itself reflects the structure of the myth. This one of the most important aspects of Baal's story, it is not purely spiritual or abstract. It is deeply rooted in agricultural reality. The ancient Levant experienced a strict seasonal rhythm of rain and drought. The death of Baal corresponds to the dry season. When the sky seemed closed and unresponsive, the myth does not simply describe this cycle, it explains it. Baal's journey into mortal realm is the narrative expression of environmental hardship. Inside the domain of Mort, Baal is powerless in a way he has never experienced before. His voice, which once thundered across the heavens, is no longer heard. His storms, once vast and overwhelming, cannot reach this place. In the underworld, the rules are different. Life does not dominate here, it dissolves. Mort, in contrast, does not celebrate. He does not need to. His power is not expressed through action, but through inevitability. Unlike a yam, who can be fought and subdued, Mort cannot be defeated in the same way. There is no strategy against death as a concept. There is only passage. In some versions of the myth, Baal is consumed or symbolically destroyed. In others, he is held captive. Regardless of the version, the outcome is the same. Baal is removed from the world above. His absence is total, and the consequences are immediate. Yet, what makes this myth particularly powerful is that it does not end in despair. Instead, it introduces a second force, resistance. Enter Anat. Anat, Baal's sister and fiancée, warrior's goddess, represents violence in its most direct and uncompromising form. Unlike Baal, who governeth through balance, Anat acts like through intensity. She does not negotiate with cosmic order. She disrupts it. When she learns of Baal's fate, she does not mourn in passivity. She responds with aggression. Her confrontation with Mort is one of the most violent episodes in ancient Near Eastern mythology. In symbolical terms, Anat does not simply attack a death. She attacks the structure that allows death to claim performance. In some interpretations of the myth, she slays Mort, dismembers him, and scatters his remains. The imagery is brutal, but its meaning is not destruction for its own sake. It is rejection of finality. However, even this act does not erase Mort entirely. This is a mythic understanding cannot be permanently eliminated. Instead, its violence creates disruption in the cycle. It interrupts the absolute stillness that Mort represents. Baal's restoration follows. The return of Baal is not described as a simple escape. It is a re-emergence, a rebalancing of cosmic forces. With his return, the skies open once again. Rain begins to fall. The earth softens. Seeds that were dormant begin to grow. Life resumes its familiar rhythm. This cyclical structure is essential to understanding the myth. Baal does not permanently defeat Mort because Mort cannot permanently be defeated. Instead, the myth describes a continuous rhythm of disappearance and return. Baal's death is the dry season. His return is a rainy season. The world does not end, it oscillates. From a symbolic perspective, this reflects one of the most sophisticated ancient understanding of existence. Life is not linear. It is a cyclical. There is no final victory over death, only repeated renewal in the face of it. Baal's struggle with Mort is therefore not a war in the conventional sense. It is a rhythm of loss and restoration. This interpretation also reveals something deeper about human psychology. Ancient people did not view suffering and abundance as separate of contradictory forces. They understood them as interconnected phases of the same system. Baal's myth teaches that absence is not permanent, even when it feels absolute. The sky will close, but it will open again. The land will dry, but it will grow again. The god will die, but he will return. Even Mort, though terrifying, is not portrayed as evil in a moral sense. He is necessarily without death, there can be no renewal. Without dryness, rain has no meaning. Without absence, presence cannot be understood. In this way, the myth does not frame Baal and Mort as enemies in more conflict, but as a complementary force in a cosmic structure. When Baal returns, it does not destroy Mort forever. Instead, he resumes his place in the cycle. The balance is restored, not through conquest, but through continuation. This is perhaps that most important relations of the myth. Existence is maintained not by eliminating opposition, but by sustaining tension between forces. Thus, Baal's battle with death is not a story of triumph over mortality. It is a story of consistency with it. It is an acknowledgement that even divine power must yield to rhythm, and that the life itself is defined not by permanence, but by return. In Baal's descent and resurrections, the ancient world found an explanation for the most universal experience of all. Loss that comes back and absence that became presence again. Thanks for watching our deep dive into Baal, one of the most fascinating and controversial figures in ancient mythology. If you enjoyed this exploration, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share or share your thoughts. Stay curious and join us to our next journey video of history and myth. Thank you.